Hey guys, so I've come to the conclusion that for Marlo this season, all we're gonna hear about is Kandi. Every scene with Marlo will somehow come back to Kandi. And each time we have a scene where Marlo talks about Kandi, more is going to be added to the story. We need to prepare ourselves that it's taken Marlo over 10 years, I'm going to say, to get a peach. And when she finally does, this is what she does with it. Instead of making every scene about Kandi, how about you show us what else you got? Like, show us how you make this money that you're able to just show up at a mall and have someone run out with your items, or show us how you're able to maintain your home and your nephews with the business that we really haven't seen play out. Show us that. Why do you continue to show us how you're trying to remain relevant through Kandi? I'll go in on Marlo again further down below. We start this episode with Kenya and Monetta practicing for Kenya's performance. We see her do a little bit of twirl, her talk about a past performance that she did and how she didn't feel like she performed that well. And now what she's doing is she's using Monetta to help her. While there, she gets a call from Roy, and I will say that you actually do see her get excited and you see the chemistry with them, and it's nice to see this side of Kenya. We then see Sanya having I always say her name wrong, having a meeting with her mom and sister. She has a quick call with her brother-in-law where she tells him all these things that she needs to be done. And after getting off the call, she picks this time to let her mom and sister know that Ross is ready for it to just be them, and that, they said it was just going to be a year and they went over that. And for some reason, her sister seems bothered by it. And I don't quite understand why she's so bothered, because if I remember correctly, she said that she was ready to be on her own. So I don't quite get that. We see Marlo do another scene with her nephews where they're supposed to be getting ready for a shoot. And at this time, once again, we're going to talk about Kandi. She talks to a relative. I can't remember if she said it was her niece or something like that, but she talks to a relative and she talks about how she wants to get her record expunged because last year, armed masked men broke into her home, and that she thought that since Kandi says that she's worldwide, that Kandi would help her with this, and she doesn't understand why Kandi wouldn't help her get her charges expunged. And Marlo, I don't understand why you think Kandi is supposed to be your savior. It is not Kandi's job to do that. With all the money that you have, you're telling me that you couldn't have hired an attorney to look into it? Once again, she expects too much from Kandi. We then see Courtney come, and I don't understand why Courtney came there, but Courtney comes to see this whack shoot that she's doing with her nephews for her annual Halloween picture. And she thanks Courtney for being willing to help her with the situation and being willing to try to find a way to get things taken care of and have her record expunged. And Courtney says that this is what she does. Part of what she does is crisis management. They joke around about Kandi. She then tells her about how her nephew was shot, and she goes through that story before, but this time she adds that he was shot by someone that he met at the old lady gang. What does where he met this person have to do with anything? She goes over the story again, and she says that they got to get to the bottom of it because it's obvious that these shootings have something to do with Kandi and her establishments. And Courtney says maybe it's the company that she attracts. And this goes back to Courtney. You said that they were hood and ghetto, and now here you are again saying something with a negative connotation, talking about the company that she attracts, and you wonder why Kandi doesn't see it for you. The problem that I have with this is your nephew being shot is a travesty. I'm not going to sit here and act like it isn't, and I'm not going to sit here and say that people don't feel things differently at different times. What I take a problem with is, rather than addressing this with Kandi, you're talking to everyone else about Kandi. You've yet to bring this to Kandi, but you want to act like you're so real and you're so this and you're so that. Why haven't you brought this to Kandi's attention? Because once again, what you've done is you've used Kandi to get further along. The fact that she said that her family kept asking her, you know, where's Kandi and why hasn't Kandi sent anything, and they were expecting Kandi to do something, and they used the picture of him being a chef at Kandi's thing and all this other stuff. Y'all really acting like Kandi was close to this boy. No offense, but you had to say his whole name. Kandi is the owner of Old Lady Gang, or one of the owners, because it's not just her, it's a family business. With that being said, Kandi is not a part of the day-to-day operations, which means Kandi may not have that close of a relationship with this young man. He might be someone who she's familiar with. She's seen his name, maybe she knows his face, but she may not know him that much to be, how do I say this? It's not her job to make sure that you're okay. It's not her job to coddle you. He was an employee who something very tragic happened to, and you informed her. And if you wanted more from her, maybe what you should have said was, do you mind sending an arrangement to my family? It would mean a lot. Because we tend to think that people are supposed to know what we want them to do for us, when different people handle grief and tragedy in different ways. Some people may want you to be there. Some people may not want to see you. When my god brother was killed and we all gathered as a family, we got tired of seeing all these different people come up. Did it mean a lot to the family that we knew that people were caring and they wanted to reach out and stuff like that? Yes, it did. But it gets to a point where it's overwhelming. So that's the way I feel about it. But it seems like Marlo's family wanted more. And if you wanted more, then you should have said it. We then see Sheree at the OBGYN, and Bravo played us because Bravo tried to make it seem like Sheree was going here to check on her womb for babies or something, and she was going there to have her fibroids looked at. It's very important. A lot of fibroids is very common, especially in African American women, and I don't know if you all know this or not, but sometimes it's even linked to the chemicals that we put in our hair. So it's things that you don't even think of that can affect your womb. And I'm not saying that it's just that. I'm just saying some of the things that they've noticed, which is one of the reasons why we got to take care of ourselves. We hear them talk about how there are different ways of dealing with them now. You don't just have to have them taken out. You can have them shrink down and all these other things. And Sheree's major concern seems to be about making sure that she can work out still and that she can have fake sex with Martell. We then see Sanya doing a photo shoot where her sister was supposed to come, but her sister said that she wasn't feeling good. And Sanya basically is talking to her mom and dad, saying that since she announced that eventually it's just going to have to be her, Ross, and their child, that her sister seems to be upset and that her brother-in-law also quit. The mom says she wasn't aware. The father said he could do more if he needs to. And Sonia basically says that she wanted this to be a family thing. That's part of the reason why she wanted them to move to Atlanta. And I get that that's what you wanted. And I understand that them being there has been more beneficial to you, especially with your son and with Ross being gone for the business. But it seems like this is doing more harm to your dynamic than good. And let's be real, him being your assistant wasn't going to help him with real estate connections. I'm just saying, I don't see the correlation there. So I think that Sanya needs to stop putting it all on Ross and understand that it's time for her to hire outside help and for her to just focus on that so that her family dynamic can improve. We then see all the ladies get ready for this trip to Birmingham, and Kenya lets us know that Drew is sick and that Kandi had a previous engagement. And all I have to say is poor Kenya, because her only ally to me will be Monietta. She tells them about all the events that are going on while everyone is coughing. And I don't quite understand why they weren't told this stuff beforehand, Kenya. The same way that you got the information, you should have given it to them so they could better have prepared. They talk, they have a good time on the bus. They talk about whatever they talk about. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that. We then see them arrive at the dance foundation, and they're going to learn choreography. They learn some choreography, and then Kenya and Monietta dip off to practice. They say they're going to pick a winner at the end and they'll get a prize. And we find out that Kenya is also using this time to basically practice for her event. And we see them come back. We see them dance. Even though Sheree was not the best, they pick her and she finds out she's going to get the bigger room. We see the ladies sit down and eat, and while they're sitting down and eat, Bryce, I think his name is, Courtney's child's father, calls asking when she's gonna come home, and I'm confused. Courtney, why are you off and on with this man of 20 plus years? Why is it that you're checking in with him? Why is it complicated? At this point, you guys are playing games. There can be co-parenting without him asking you when you're coming home. Seems like you want more and he doesn't. That the ball continues to be in his court. We find out that Kenya at one time co-starred with him in a movie series and that they had some scenes together. And she said there was never anything in between them and that he was very sexy in the 90s. Kenya then brings up what happened with Drew and Marlo. And Marlo proceeds to talk over her. Marlo can dish it, but she can't take it. And I kind of wish that Kenya did not bring this up because Drew wasn't there. So with Drew not being there, you're not going to really get both vantage points because things get lost in translation and it becomes a telephone thing. And I don't know if that's what happened because some of the things that were said were not true. So she stated that Drew told her that Marlo was standing over her and being very aggressive. She then tells Kenya that it's none of her business. She can't speak for Drew, that Kenya has boss issues, tries to run everything. All Marlo had to say was, Kenya, I'd rather not talk about this without Drew being here, and cut it. All the back and forth wasn't necessary. And like I said before, I wish Kenya didn't bring it up. Kenya says in her confessional that Marlo struggles with what personality she's trying to present. I don't know because I don't know Marlo. I just know what we see on TV and I ain't feeling it. We see the ladies go to their rooms and Kenya and Sheree complain about their accommodations. Sheree wanted a suite. And y'all aren't going to be there that long. I'll be honest. The bouginess of it all kind of bothers me. They're told that they need to be downstairs by 7:30. For what Kenya told them is going to be like a charity event that was supposed to be dressy. Monyetta comes down and Kenya asks her to change because what she had on wasn't appropriate in Kenya's eyes. Kenya ends up leaving with Sheree and Courtney because she didn't want to be late to the event, and because she told them that they need to be down there by 7:30. We then see that despite Monyetta not leaving with them, Monyetta got there the same time that they did. We then see Marlo and Sonia riding together to the event, and Marlo's basically telling Sonia Sanya about her life coach and how it helped her, and how if it weren't for the life coach, she would have snapped on Kenya and things would have been very different. They get to the cocktail party and they immediately stand out, not just because of what they had on, but because of who they are. This cocktails party doesn't seem to be what Kenya thought it was going to be. The ladies are talking poorly about it. I'm wondering if the wrong information was delivered, because I know that normally with these type of events, especially for college, they normally have like an event for current students, and then they'll have an event for like alumni and donors, because let's be real, most students can't afford to buy the larger tickets, and normally those larger tickets tend to be more sit down, more personable. So someone dropped the ball. I don't know if it was Marlo. I don't know if it was the event crew or whatever. I didn't like the fact that the ladies were speaking so poorly about it. It's an HBCU, and different HBCUs have different funding, but you have to be aware of where you're going. Like, come on, y'all doing too much. When Marlo and Sonia see what's going on and Marlo feels the way about everything, she decides that she's gonna show Kenya how it should be done, and she goes to the bartender and asks them if they have sparklers and stuff and if they can bring it over to the table along with her bottle. And to me, that's doing too much. You aren't in a club. You already have enough attention being drawn to you with the producers and the cameras and the spotlight and people asking to take pictures with you and all these other things. That part wasn't necessary. We see the ladies go outside with the wine, and you can tell everything about it was off. Because even Kenya, where was Kenya supposed to go? Who was she supposed to talk to at the space? Something didn't seem right about that. Even production isn't welcome. We see in the captions where production is basically saying like, we're gonna have to go because they don't want the cameras and stuff in here. And I don't understand why this wasn't cleared. Like, who was supposed to clear this, production or Kenya? They go to Kenya's room. No, they all leave. Kenya goes to her room, and I can't remember who it was, if it was Marlo or one of them. Someone suggested that they go up to Kenya's room to see what she's doing, because basically Marlo is saying that she got something else going on, that Kenya always dips off and does things and whatever else. And what they didn't know is that her daughter is there. So they go to Kenya's room and they bang on her door. They keep knocking on the door, bang on the door, kick the door. They're doing too much, honestly, because this is an establishment and you are bringing a lot of attention to this room. Let's take the fact that the child is even in there. So Kenya answers the door very angrily, and I completely understand. And it looks like she didn't have on clothes. And she says, like, y'all need to stop. My child is in the room. And she closes the door, and Marlo tells her she's being rude with her broke ASS. And I got mad. I don't even know why these ladies were invited. I get y'all are trying to make a scene, but this just, y'all gotta do better. This episode to me was really dry and didn't really have a lot to give. I think that it's very funny how, according to Marlo, Kandi doesn't share anything, and she wanted to walk off because Kandi didn't share any information, and she can pick and choose when she wants to say stuff. But when she's confronted, she threatens to be quiet or leave, because that's exactly what she did. She said she was just going to be quiet and not say anything when talking to Kenya. And I feel like I'm over Marlo. And I'm beginning to see why you were not offered a peach. Y'all took Shamari's peach away from her and just wanted to give her a friend to the show. And Shamari was given more than Marlo is giving. I'm not feeling it. And I don't know if it's because I feel like this whole storyline with the girls wanting to gang up on Kandi is tired. I don't like Marlo using this tragic event that happened to her family as a way to blame Kandi. It's just not sitting right with me. And the fact that production is not encouraging her to talk about something else shows that Kandi isn't as favorite as a lot of people try to say she is. We didn't see Kandi in this episode, so clearly Kandi's booked and busy. Anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. Until next time.